You're listening to a Prairie Punk House Companion right here on the Prairie Punk Press Network. The views expressed by any host or any guest on the Prairie Punk House Companion are the personal views or opinions of the people who express them and do not reflect the views or opinions of anyone else on the show or any company, employer, or any other organization that the individual expressing them has or will affiliate with in the past, present, or future. Hi, everybody. You're listening to a Prairie Punk House Companion. We're on episode 25. And this week, I think that we can probably call ourselves a Prairie Poseur Companion because we're going to be talking about music that is not punk. In fact, the entire episode is going to be dedicated exclusively to music that is not punk music. My name is Neckbone.
Hi, I'm Jerbear. I don't have anything this week.
No quit?
I tried. No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Well,
Nope.
my Prairie Poseur Companion can count as a quip for both of us.
All right.
Sweet.
Wait. I went to the doctor, and about this cold that I'm still fighting, and he gave me some scissor. So that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my lean on after this.
Nice. We have corrections from Johnny.
Corrections.
We haven't had corrections
Johnny
for a while.
Sent us. Yeah, Johnny's been fucking slacking.
I
don't
know.
What the hell he's.
You gotta get on top of this, Johnny. Come on.
He messaged us about eggnog and said that it did originate in England, he believes. But being British, they probably stole it from Ireland.
Probably.
But
yeah.
he also says that eggnog is gross, so he could totally believe that the British came up with it on their own. He also says that Tanqueray is fucking awesome. Also, we have 2 more patrons.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Chris and Alec. Thank you. Appreciate your support. And I'm still working on getting buttons made. I promise I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I need access to a high quality printer so I can get the images looking good. But I will get those out, and to you, I will reach out to you when they're done and ask for your addresses. Mr. Power, Chris, and Alec. Woo-hoo.
We've tripled our patrons. That's massive.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah, that's right. With these numbers, if these trends continue,
incredible.
I've been keeping an eye on the amount of downloads that we get on every episode. So it seems to be, even though we have not heard directly from anybody, it seems like people are more interested when we keep it on the topic of music and punk antics and have guests who also talk about punk stuff. Those seem to be the episodes that do well. The episodes where it's just us talking about politics, not as much, probably because people don't tune into this specific podcast for that, is my guess. So we hear you loud and clear. We're definitely not going to take all the politics out of the podcast because, as we've said before, we think politics and punk go hand in hand, but we are going to keep the episodes of this specific podcast to at least the main focus to be about music or interviewing people who are part of this, various scenes or something that is linked to antics or punk houses or punk music of some kind. We are going to explore other forums for our political content, but we probably are going to start having it be a little more separated, just because that seems to be based on numbers of what people want. And if you think I'm wrong about that, let me know. Email us. Let us know. If you like us having all the politics in this podcast, let us know. Like I said, in this episode, we're talking about music that is exclusively not punk music, but other music that either has inspired us or does inspire us. And some of it is punk adjacent or punk inspired. But yeah, I've separated mine, and Jerbear and I did not come up with our notes together. We just kind of did our own thing on our own. So we're probably both going to do this a little differently. I separated mine into 3, or really 4 categories. And the first category I'm going to talk about is my second favorite music after punk, which is hip hop / rap. So that's going to be my first category. And then I also made an indie / alternative category, and then a metal category. And then my last category it's kind of a genreless category. And I added just 3 bands to that, and they are Mike Patton related projects, because I can't for the life of me figure out what genre any of his bands fit into, if any. So he's just going to get his own category. So, Chair Bear, how did you separate yours?
I just made a list of bands that have been important to me or had an impact on my life at some point. I'll probably break it up into eras or like chronologically when the impact was made on me. That's kind of my thoughts on it. And I also made a top 5 greatest songs of all time list. And only one of those is a punk rock song. So in the spirit of the episode, I will leave that out and just have a top 4 list.
Okay. You can still give it an honorable mention. I think that still counts. If you just say honorably mentioning this other song that I'm
this is a non-punk rock episode. So I refuse to list the song Here's the Rest of Your Life by Chumbawamba.
Okay. All right.
In my top 5 greatest songs list. I refuse to do it. I'm not going to say that Here's the Rest of Your Life by Chumbawamba is in my top 5
All
lists.
right, I can respect that.
I won't do it.
You'll stick to your top 4.
I'm not going to do it.
Mine are all over the place. I know, kidding, as I was making notes. I just added bands, groups, and rappers. They're all separated into their respective genre. But other than that, they're all over the place chronologically in terms of like where I would put them in a ranked list. And for me, all that stuff shifts constantly anyway. Who I'm listening to right now may be completely different than who I'm going to be listening to in a couple of weeks. And then maybe I'll come back to the other one. So this is just a snapshot of what I'm listening to pretty much right now. And I tried to add some stuff that has been significant to me over the years, stuff that I may not have been listening to recently, but it was so impactful that I felt as though it needed to be added. So, and I'll give some honorable mentions in each category. There's a few bands that didn't make my list in metal, but I feel like I have to mention. Otherwise, Joe is going to write us an angry email if I don't mention them. So I'll make sure when I get to metal, I mention some of the bands. I'll just take care of Emperor right now. Emperor. There you go. Joe, got it. Also, I did not include Danzig on my metal list, but I have to say, Mother is still one of the most hilarious songs of all time.
Have you heard the Legion of Rock Stars cover of Mother?
Is that the badly sung one?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe showed that to me, actually. Yeah, he had to turn it off because he thought I was going to die because I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. He had to shut it off because he was worried for my safety.
Yeah. No, it's a delight. Legion of Rock Stars. I don't remember how they record it, but I think they can't hear themselves while they record it or something. I don't know. It's fucking hilarious. They have a shit ton of songs that they cover like that. It's so
we
great.
should put a link to that in this episode.
Definitely.
Just because it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm starting off my list with hip hop. And I chose to start it with hip hop because in my experience, whenever I talk to people and they're asking me what kind of music I listen to, I can say punk and they're like, oh, cool. And I say hip hop and they're like, oh, that's cool. And I can even say indie and alternative and they're like, oh yeah, I like some of that stuff. But once I say metal, the conversation ends. So that's why I'm ending with it because I don't want our listeners to click off of this as soon as I start mentioning metal bands. So at least it'll be near the end of the episode.
I would guess that most of our listeners would be into metal, but
yeah, probably more than the average person who I talk to. Hopefully everybody listens to a little bit of hip hop. We at least know that Laszlo does. So
Yeah, for sure.
And some of these I think we even talked about when Laszlo was on the show. I'm pretty sure we mentioned MF Doom, who is at the top of my list. Now, normally I would save somebody like MF Doom for the end, but I'm going to start with him because I started the playlist that I compiled with him. We'll also put a link to our playlists in the description too. But MF Doom, he was a British-born American rapper. He's such an interesting character because he always wore like what he called like his Doom mask at all of his shows, and would sometimes send somebody out on the stage, and he would watch them rap as him, and he would watch from backstage as everybody like went nuts.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
And now he died in 2020, and there was speculation because of the antics that he got up to that he had faked his death. Which, if anybody was going to fake their death, like I know people joke like, "Oh, I bet Tupac's still alive. I bet Biggie's still alive." But like, if somebody was going to fake their own death, it would have been MF Doom. This is the person who would have actually done it. Unfortunately, it seems like it has been confirmed that he did die. So when he was young, he got moved with his family to Brooklyn, New York, and he was raised. I forget how old he was when he moved to New York, but he was like, a kid. He was 2-3 years old. So he doesn't even remember the UK. Like he's, for all intents and purposes, an American. But when he went to perform a show, apparently he never officially got his citizenship in the United States. So he went to go perform a show in Britain and was not allowed back into the United States. So he lived the last few years of his life in the UK. And I don't know exactly what he died from specifically. It may have been COVID related. I don't think he had COVID. He'd had health issues for a lot of stuff. And basically because it was during the COVID lockdown, the hospitals were understaffed and seeing surges of patients, and basically they had left him somewhere and were ignoring him, and he fucking died because
crazy.
They neglected to take care of him. That's the way I understand it anyway. That's the information that was put out by his wife after his death. And yeah, it just seems like it seems like he didn't. He died way too young. I mean, he was 49 years old. He wasn't much older than we are now. But he'd been around he got to start in the 90s. The first time I heard him was, I want to say 2004. And it was when I was still working for KJHK Lawrence. And I stumbled upon his album, Food, which came out that same year. And the first song I ever heard on it was, of course, Rap Snitches. I feel like that's probably most people's first experience with MF Doom. A lot of people who I've talked to have said that is like the first song they heard from him. And yeah, I was sold immediately. MF Doom is he's one of those rappers. He's the rapper that the rappers you like listen to. So like he's not really mainstream. A lot of people know about him. Like he wasn't underground by any stretch of the imagination, but like he wasn't going to be, for the most part, on the radio other than college stations and stuff like that. Yeah, your average person wouldn't have known who he was, but all the mainstream rappers that everybody listens to, they all listen to MF Doom. He'll always be one of my favorite rappers. And yeah, it's too bad that he died way too young. And we're not going to he had a massive discography under a bunch of different names. So let me see. He rapped under not just MF Doom, but he also rapped under Zevlov X, King Ghidorah, Victor Vaughn, Metal Fingers, Doom, and Metal Face. Also, he partnered with Danger Mouse and did a Danger Doom record too. I liked rap and hip hop before I discovered him, but he's the reason why I started to explore more what's called like indie rap and alternative rap, and kind of get more into the stuff that isn't necessarily on the radio all the time. We got to talk about Deltron, or Del the Funky Homo Sapien, also known as Deltron 3030. He has a bunch of different names he goes by too. Del the Funky Homo Sapien, he got his start writing lyrics for Ice Cube's Da Lynch Mob, and then Ice Cube produced his first couple of albums, and he rapped under a bunch of different names. The first album I heard from him was his Deltron 3030 album, the first one he put out. And I heard it when I was actually getting my first tattoo. They were playing it top to bottom at the tattoo shop. And yeah, basically I heard it and said, what is this? And they told me, and I went out and bought the album immediately. I got it from Love Garden, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah. When he raps his Deltron 3030, he raps, it's like science fiction rap. Highly recommended if you like sci-fi, especially. But everybody else knows Del the Funky Homo Sapien. If you play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on any system, he had a song on that. And so a lot of people call him skate hip hop. So it makes sense because I grew up listening to skate punk. So I guess transitioning to skate hip hop was kind of a natural progression. But yeah, he also he raps under Deltron Zero, Sir Dizzle, Del the Ghost Rapper, Funky Homo Sapien, and Unicron, which anybody who's ever seen Transformers knows where that comes from. So yeah, I'm gonna jump in time to just a few years ago. I discovered a rapper from Detroit named Danny Brown. I call him a young rapper, but he's actually only a couple years younger than us. But yeah, he's from Detroit. He's put out a bunch of albums. And I discovered him through, honestly, I heard him on KJHK Lawrence. I've discovered a lot of hip hop from listening to Breakfast for Beat Lovers on KJHK Lawrence. I still listen to it online from time to time because KJHK does broadcast online, so you can listen to it from anywhere. And it's a great way to discover new hip hop. It's a great show. The DJs who run Breakfast for Beat Lovers, they really know their stuff. Even the new ones, the ones when I worked there, definitely did, and even the new people. They're always really selective when they hire DJs for that particular show. Way more selective than they were when they hired me for the jazz show. I showed up not knowing anything about jazz. Danny Brown, he hasn't been around as long, obviously, as Del or MF Doom was. He's only, his first studio album was from 2010. So I guess that was 15 years ago at this point. But he's an interesting character. I would describe him as he does rap, he does hip hop, but there's like a real kind of punk attitude to him, especially if you watch his videos. I call him like a punk rock rapper. Mm-hmm. And he got into a scuffle with D. Antwoord, so I'll always love him for that. So because
nice.
Fuck those people.
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary about him on Netflix?
No, I have not.
You should watch it.
Well, apparently Yolandi tried to force herself on Danny Brown, and he was just like, no.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those situations where he's like trying to run from her.
Yeah, man. Men can be sexually abused as well.
So, yeah. But yeah, check out Danny Brown if you like hip hop. I think he's really good. Mm-hmm. I call him, the young rapper, but he's like the same age as me. Next on my list, somebody you'll recognize, Kool Keith, who I first heard as Dr. Octagon. And I think I first heard that album, the 1996 Octagonacologist, Dr. Octagonacologist album. I think I first heard that at the Fannings in Wichita, if I remember
probably.
Right.
That sounds about right.
I don't know where it came from.
We rocked that shit a lot. I don't know if that's something that Cody brought over or what. Do you remember Cody?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that he brought over and we started listening to.
Okay.
Or it may have just been the Fannings had it. I don't remember.
There's a song on there. So my dog's name is Sharky, and my son discovered a song from Dr. Octagon. Yes, my 4-year-old listens to music he shouldn't be listening to. deal with it. But there's a song on there called Half Shark, Alligator, Half Man. And whenever my dog walks by, my son will start saying half shark, alligator, half man. And my dog,
nice.
Because he's
That's
convinced
adorable.
that my dog is half shark, alligator, half man.
Yeah. Tracks.
So, yeah. But yeah, he he raps under both Cool Keith and Dr. Octagon, a bunch of different names too.
Mm-hmm.
Black Elvis, Crazy Lou, Papa Large, Rhythm X. I mean, it's a massive list.
Mm-hmm.
He's an interesting cat. This guy. He's from New York. He's from the Bronx. He's got so many good albums under his belt for all of his personas, I think. And just because I discovered him so long ago, and he's been such a staple in my hip hop discography since I first heard him back on Kansas Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize this until many years later. But that album that the Fannings had Dr. Octagonacologist, was in large part produced by Dan the Automator, who also does the producing for Deltron 3030, and also was one of the members of / produced the Lovage album for Mike Patton.
Nice.
So it's all full circle. Dan the Automator, if his name is attached to something, it's probably going to be good. And he'll come up again later. He'll probably come up a few times just because he is just involved in everything. And yeah, he's awesome. So next on my list is it's a rap trio called Czarface. So they released their first album in 2013. So they haven't been around for a super long time. I discovered them because they collaborate with MF Doom a lot, or collaborated with MF Doom. And also they have links to Wu-Tang Clan, and they do they have a whole superhero motif going on with their album covers and with their music. They're kind of nerd rap, but they're super awesome. And like I said, I discovered them because they collaborated with MF Doom a lot, and the collaboration albums that they did are just phenomenal. So highly recommend looking up Czarface. And yeah, that's spelled like the old Russian czars, CZAR face, all one word. So check them out. They're really fucking awesome. Kind of a newer on the scene, in 2013. I guess was 12 years ago now. I keep saying that these groups and people are new. They're fucking not anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just old.
I don't know. Yeah. What the fuck is time?
I know.
It's wild.
Next on my list is a rapper. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so it's hard to look it up. But his name is Ashes, The Chosen. He's really fucking good. He's very political. I added a song of his to my playlist, kind of a love note to hip hop that he has. It's actually one of his less political songs, but he's really, really, really fucking good. He's got good politics. I have no idea how old he is or where he's from exactly. I get the impression that he's got to at least be in his 30s or 40s, though. There's not a lot of information about him online. I'm sure if I dug a lot deeper, I could probably find some stuff. But look him up. Ashes, The Chosen.
See if there's a Nardwuar interview with him.
Yeah. Really fucking good. Great fucking music. Just look him up on whatever music app you have. And then someone else on my list, too, who I really want to add. Very political rapper, Talib Kweli. I don't know. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
But he's political. He's also from New York. My God, I listen to a lot of New York hip hop. So much. Jesus Christ. I think everyone on this list so far has been from New York. Oh, Del the Funky Homo Sapien is from Oakland. So there we go. And Danny Brown's from Detroit. Okay, so not everybody's from New York. Good. He's been around for a long fucking time. He's about the same age as me. So his first studio album was 2002, and he's collaborated with Mos Def. He was, of course, with Mos Def, one of the members of Black Star, if anybody remembers.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Them from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So for my next one, I'm going to be going back in time to De La Soul. Now, the next two groups on my list are, I'm going to kind of do them both separately and together. So De La Soul and A Tribe Called Quest are both on my list. They're both part of the Native Tongues collective. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was kind of a hip-hop collective from the 90s. It had a lot of different groups and rappers in it, but people associated with Native Tongues from the late 80s through the late 90s would be like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, Jungle Brothers, and it was kind of like a rap hip hop collective. You can find all their stuff online. You can find remixes. Somebody, and I wish I could remember their name, did a whole remix of a bunch of their stuff and put it all together on like a single playlist on YouTube. And if you find it, it's really good. I mean, the originals are obviously what I have more of the emotional attachment to, but the remix is good. That's actually one of the things I really like about hip hop is that you can remix a song and it almost feels like a brand new song. I've got De La Soul, who I've been listening to since the 90s. Tribe Called Quest also since at least the late 90s. And then I've got a couple more people I want to talk about in hip hop, and then I'll move on to my next genre. But obviously, got to talk about the Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, how can you have a hip hop list without Wu-Tang Clan on it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Who was in Ghost Dog? Was that the RZA?
Oh my God, I completely fucking forgot about that shit.
Yeah.
RZA was in that, composed the score for the film.
Oh yeah, he did.
So it's a Jim Jarmusch movie starring Forrest Whitaker. I haven't seen it since it came out, I don't think, but I remember really liking it.
You and I used to watch it pretty often.
Yeah.
I think you had it on, I don't know if you had it on DVD or not, but we watched it a lot when we lived at the annex.
I think I had it on DVD. I don't know where I got it from.
Between that and Mallrats, we watched them like once a week, I would say. Yeah, I think I prefer, ODB is a character. Yeah. And he's hilarious and got tons of charisma, but I think musically, I think the RZA is probably my favorite.
So, yeah, on the Wu-Tang album, The W, there's a song called Gravel Pit, and the in the radio-friendly version, there's a line, in the real version, it says there's a line that says, remember what Old Dirty says, and then he comes in and says, "I'll fuck your ass up." And in the radio-friendly version, it just says, "Remember what Old Dirty says," and then it's just silent for 5 seconds. It's like they didn't even try to put something in there. Like they were just like, we just, you know what, we give up. Wu-Tang Forever was the first album I own, and then the W. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about Ghost Dog. I completely fucking forgot about that movie. I can't believe I forgot about that movie.
Have you seen this is a tangent. Sorry, everyone. Have you seen Jim Jarmusch's zombie movie?
I've not seen it yet. Is it worth seeing?
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay. A lot of people people kept telling me it was terrible. They're like, "Don't bother."
So the first time I started watching it, I was bored, which can happen with a Jim Jarmusch film. Yeah, they're slow and deliberate, and sometimes can be boring. The second time I attempted to watch it, I really, really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it.
The last person on my list, and I'll throw out a few honorable mentions I'll just run through, but the last person I want to add on my list is a rapper called Mega Ran, and I added him because he is like nerdcore rap. He is, I don't know, a lot of people don't take him seriously because he raps a lot about like video games and shit, and like Star Wars. I mean, he is, nice. When I say nerdcore rap, I mean, his name's Mega Ran, which is a take on Mega Man. So that should tell you all you need to know. He's from Philly. I really like him, and he keeps it light. And sometimes that's what I need. So, yeah, check him out. Check out Mega Ran. Yeah, it's fun. Mm-hmm. He's kind of the Weird Al of hip-hop. I don't know, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. And then I just want to throw out my honorable mentions. Obviously, I gotta mention Ice Cube because we had that Friday VHS when we lived at the Annex, and we watched that shit. We wore that tape out. Yeah. We watched Friday so much. And the rest of my hip hop list I'll throw out in no particular order. But got to give a shout out to obviously Ice Cube and the rest of NWA and the Lynch Mob. Automato, they only had one album, but it's a good fucking album. Ludacris, Outkast, Missy Elliott, and I'm going to throw it out there, Trina. If anybody remembers Trina, I don't know if she counts as ACAB because she had a song about pulling people over, but because that ass too fat.
Oh, okay.
So that's my quick hip hop list. Sorry that took so long for a quick list. Do you want to jump in and throw some of yours out now?
All right, yeah, we'll just do it back and forth. So I'll do my hip hop list after yours. The first, what probably got me into hip hop was the Lynch Mob and Gorillas in the Mist. That came out when I was in the 8th grade and had discovered the joys of substances that go along with that album. And from there, then of course getting into Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg. That first Snoop Dogg record changed the world, basically. NWA obviously started the gangster rap trend, but it wouldn't be anywhere near what it was without that Snoop Dogg record that came out in 93. When I was a junior and senior, my homie Craig and I would drive around and I would drink rum as a passenger, and we would listen to either Biggie or Nas. Those hold a special place in my heart just because it was I was an emotional wreck, but hanging out with my friend Craig and getting drunk and smoking lots of cigarettes and listening to Biggie and Nas was one of my favorite memories from high school, is doing that with him. That Nas song, I Gave You Power, is one of the most powerful hip hop songs I can think of. It's so good. And then, you can't have a hip hop list without mentioning Biz Markie. Yeah. Just a friend.
R.I.P., man.
I know it sucks. Yeah. Just a friend is a hot jam for sure, but he had so much other stuff and did so much more. And he'd kind of fallen off my radar a little bit until I had kids and started watching Yo Gabba Gabba. And he did a segment on there called Biz's Beat of the Day where he taught kids how to beatbox.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So you should, dude, your kid would fucking love Yo Gabba Gabba. Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo does a bit on there where he teaches kids how to draw. It's rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I saw those segments. Like, shit, what is fucking Biz up to? And I started listening to a lot of his back catalog and stuff. So R.I.P. Busy. He's a badass.
As soon as you said Nas, I was like, fuck, Nas should have been on mine. God damn it.
Nas totally won the beef between Jay-Z. Fuck Jay-Z.
Yeah. And there was a time where Jay-Z would have been on my list, but probably not anymore. I used to listen to a lot of Jay-Z, like 20 years ago, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard the mixed albums with Jay-Z and the Beatles and then Jay-Z and Radiohead.
No.
Oh, they're actually really good. I think if I remember correctly, and hey, Johnny, look this up and tell me if I'm wrong. I think Danger Mouse is actually the one who mixed those albums.
Oh, that's cool.
So he mixed the white album and the black album to create the gray album.
Mm-hmm. The only time I really paid attention to him was when he was having the beef with Nas, and I just like Nas so much better. And, the ego behind Jay-Z is what I fucking didn't like. And, he's not a businessman. He's a businessman. And I don't fucking like it. Like, that's not my cup of tea. It's not my fucking thing. He wants to be a billionaire, go off and do your shit. But
he's the definition of a capitalist.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is
when a billionaire says, maybe these riots are going a little too far. I'm looking at him as a billionaire, not as a black man or anything else. And I don't fucking respect you I don't give a shit. You're a fucking billionaire. You're looking out for your business interests. You're looking out for your capital. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. To me, hip hop is intertwined with politics the same way that punk is.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Hip hop is political, just like punk is political.
Right. Yeah. It cannot separate itself. Its entire existence is political. So
yeah,
I don't understand how you can be a capitalist billionaire.
Yeah.
And have any
Street
respectability in the hip hop community at all.
I gotta shout out Busta and listen to Dangerous with you. Driving up to Kansas City all the time, but on our way up there, listening to Dangerous was a really good time. What's up with Busta?
He's doing okay. He's doing good. He's on social media. I think he dropped his kid off at college or something like that. He's just like living that empty nester dad life.
Yeah,
like
nice. Good for him.
Yeah. I think he like got ripped or something. Like I think he dropped his kid off at college and went and just started working out all the time or something like that. Nice. So he's like fucking ripped now. Good for him. Busta, I've always been a huge fan. And if I remember right, he was pretty involved in Native Tongues too.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
At different points on different albums. Always loved him. I thought his videos were always fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, have you seen the video for "Give Me Some More"?
Oh fuck yeah,
Busta Rhymes, "Give Me Some More."
Yeah,
so
good.
That video, my wife will not watch that video.
Why?
She said it freaks her the fuck out.
I mean, it's kind of creepy, but it's so good.
It's creepy.
He's hilarious. He's so fucking funny.
Yeah, the video where Busta Rhymes is in whiteface is the Dangerous. He plays the white cop. Well, I think he plays most of the characters in the video.
For sure.
It's so good. I think that might still be one of my favorite music videos of all time. Is Dangerous by Busta Rhymes.
It's so good.
Great fucking video. Yeah. I have to put on the top of my indie list, and I know people are going to roll their eyes. One of my favorite scenes from the movie High Fidelity is when Jack Black is given the other guy shit over listening to this band, but it's Bell and Sebastian.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking love them.
I love Bell and Sebastian. I'm a sap. I've got to love them.
Oh yeah. So Bell and Sebastian, they're from Glasgow, Scotland. They formed in 96, and I have been listening to them probably since 2000, I want to say.
I probably made fun of you.
And what's that?
I probably made fun of you for listening to them for a little while until I realized how wonderful they are.
Yeah, they're really fucking good. Love them. Great Scottish music. I have a soft spot in my heart anytime there's a Scottish band. I even somewhat like the Proclaimers, at least. Yeah, so the song is called "I'm Gonna Be."
Yeah.
Parentheses 500 miles.
Yeah.
And
so that's a great song.
To this day, that is the only. So my wife tries to drag me to karaoke sometimes. She loves karaoke, and I like going to it. I don't like singing.
No.
But she will get me to sing because she promises me I can sing "I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles."
Okay.
As the only song I will sing at karaoke, and I call it the Scottish national anthem. So I require everybody to stand up and put their hand on their heart while I sing the Scottish national anthem. So that's the Proclaimers. So I guess I'm adding the Proclaimers and Bell and Sebastian to the list because they're both good Scottish bands.
I don't think they're indie rock though. I don't know what they are.
For their time, 1988. It's as close as it got back then.
All right, fair enough.
Next on my list is a band called the Decemberists. They're from Portland, Oregon, and I first found out about them through one of my roommates. I had a roommate named Carly who was really into the Decemberists, and she dragged me and I think one of our other roommates to a Decemberists concert. Yeah, so we saw the Decemberists at the Granada in Lawrence, Kansas. And I've loved them ever since. So the Decemberists will always have a place in my heart. I think they've got a lot of great songs.
I used to really like them, but I feel like after Crane Wife, they kind of crawled up their own ass.
I mean, they've always kind of been up their own ass, haven't they?
It got worse after Crane Wife, I think. Smelling their own farts. And I just lost interest.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But
I still really like them.
Yeah.
I think they've got lots of good stuff. But yeah, they do seem to be kind of up their own asses. I mean, they're an indie band.
They're
par for the
they
course.
are theater dorks that started an indie rock band.
So next on my list is a band called Mercury Rev. And I discovered them because they're closely associated with the Flaming Lips, who I discovered because of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably the reason why I discovered Mercury Rev as well. They're from Buffalo, New York.
Just real quick interjection. The Fannings introduced me to Mercury Rev. They gave me a mixtape with Deserters songs and an EP.
Uh-huh.
And the Deserters song is one of the best indie rock records of all time, I would say. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. Yeah. And they also gave me Butch by the Geraldine Fibbers, which is really, really, really good.
I still think, Holes by Mercury Rev is still one of my favorite songs by them. That has actually been on one of my playlists. It's funny because I saw you mention it on like Facebook the other day. You mentioned it somewhere or something.
Yeah, it was in a movie. It was in a movie. Yeah. I don't remember which movie now off the top of my head, but I was really surprised to see it, and I totally melted.
That's interesting because it's funny. It had just hit I just put it on one of my playlists not that long ago, and it's on one of the ones that is like safe for my kid to listen to. Uh-huh. It's tougher for me to play my like hip hop, punk, and metal playlists for my kid because there's a lot of stuff on there he probably shouldn't hear yet. But my indie one is usually pretty safe. So he calls Holes the sad song.
Yeah, it is a sad song.
It's a sad song. And then he calls the happy song one of the other bands on my list, Mates of State. Who I still really like. They've actually formed in Lawrence, Kansas. So they have that Kansas connection. Mm-hmm. They met at the University of Kansas, and they got their name because they are Mates of State. They got married. So they are a married couple who is also a band. And that's where their name comes from. Yep. But he calls...
Have you seen them live?
I've not seen them live, no.
I saw them twice in Lawrence. And they put on such a good fucking show. They're so good. And they're really nice, too.
That's cool.
I met them after the show. They were at the tap room playing pool. And they're very, very, very sweet people. And they know a lot of Lawrence friends because they're from there. So
the song that comes on after Holes on my playlist is The Rearranger by Mates of State. And my son calls that the happy song. So there's the sad song, which is followed by the happy song. Then next on my list, I'm putting them together, and I just have to mention both of them because they are so influential on me discovering more music later on. But the Pixies / the Breeders, if it weren't for them, I don't think I would have discovered any of the music I listen to today. The Pixies were a gateway band for me. And they're one of those bands I get annoyed when people call them a punk band because they're not a fucking punk band. Ditto the Breeders. The Breeders are also not a punk band. And that's fine. They don't have to be. I still like them. Actually, I like the Breeders better than I like the Pixies personally. And a lot of that is because the Pixies just got overplayed for me. I mean, I discovered them when I was like 12. Yeah. So, but I discovered the Pixies at Boy Scout camp. Oddly enough, somebody had their Trump Le Mans CD.
Nice.
And they played it, and I just thought, like, wow, what the fuck is this? I think at the time I thought that was punk rock. Because I guess if you don't know punk, then you're like, yeah, sure, this sounds kind of punk to me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean...
Sure.
It wasn't metal.
Right.
But they were loud and screamy.
Right.
Right. You know, it was
different. It was from before alternative was called alternative.
Right. I mean, they're a major influence on Nirvana. I mean,
right.
Kurt Cobain even said, Smells Like Teen Spirit was a ripoff of the Pixies.
I would describe the Pixies and the Breeders not as punk bands, but they're punk influenced. They were influenced by punk music. It's really obvious that they were. So I'll even get them punk adjacent. That's the most generous I can be, though. You know, you said it, but I gotta include this band on the list because I did listen to them a lot when I was a kid. But Nirvana, but only specifically Incesticide. Incesticide, I will stand by. That is still a good fucking album. I think their other albums, their two other major albums, were or maybe 3. I can't even remember how many now.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I mean, they were for a mainstream audience, and it was fine when I was a kid, but listening to them now is just kind of, oh, this is really for lowest common denominator. And you know, it's once again like the Pixies. It's a good gateway band. It's a good gateway band to discover other bands. Yeah. And I will stand by some of the songs on Incesticide, because Incesticide was their like just a bunch of B-sides that they recorded. So I went to the mall to Camelot Music when not in utero, when Nevermind came out. And I really wanted to get Nevermind. They did not have Nevermind. The only Nirvana album they had in stock was Incesticide, which I didn't realize was actually just a bunch of pre-recorded B-sides that they crammed together to squeeze an extra buck out of people. So I bought it, and I was like, well, it's a Nirvana album, and I've never heard of it. And to this day, that is, still my favorite Nirvana album, and probably the only one I still think is good.
Yeah, fair.
It is, because it's definitely, of all their albums, it's the one that sounds the least overly produced. Yeah, like you can tell, like some of like the drums are off for a second in a couple of songs. Like it feels very like it feels almost like it was recorded by a bunch of amateurs. It feels kind of a little more DIY than
it was
their super slick, overproduced albums that came out after that. Yeah, and so once again, Nirvana is one of those bands that I will grant punk adjacent. I think Kurt Cobain identified himself as a punk rocker.
I think
but
so.
Nirvana was not a punk band.
Dave Grohl was in punk bands before he was in Nirvana.
Yeah, wasn't he? Or no, they had someone in their band. I don't think it was Dave Grohl. Someone was in the Germs.
Oh, Pat Smear.
Yeah, Pat Smear was in the Germs. That's right. In fact, when I did generously put Nirvana on my playlist, I had to once again listen to songs from Incesticide, because it's been so long since I've listened to anything from Nirvana that I was like, fuck, I don't even remember which songs were the ones that I liked the best. So it was kind of cool, like hearing it again, because it is almost like hearing it again for the first time, because it's just been so long. And we've talked about this on the show before, like when Sarah overplayed 15 for us in her car, and I couldn't listen to 15 for like 10 years after that. Yeah. But then when I did finally listen to them again, I was like, oh fuck, I really love this music. So, yeah.
I still can't really listen to the Pixies. They're on my list as well. We can just get this out of the way since you brought them up. The Pixies were really important to me from about 6 months before we moved to Kansas City, about until moved to Lawrence, and then in that time I burned myself out on them. I just played it so much that I just got bored with them. And then not only was I overplaying them, but Fight Club got huge, and everybody overplayed Where Is My Mind, and now it's used in adverts and is everywhere, and I can't get away from that fucking song.
Using a song in commercials is the quickest way to get me to stop liking it. That's one of the reasons why Run the Jewels didn't make it onto my hip hop list. They would have
that makes sense.
At one time, but now a lot of I think at least 2 of their songs are being used on commercials, and it's kind of turned me off, which sucks, because I think they're good, but I don't know. They're definitely, they've got decent politics. They're definitely left leaning. I don't think that they're
Killer
radicals
Mike
or anything. But
pivoted to the center a little bit in the last couple of years. I feel like he was way more progressive than he's been lately. I kind of quit following what he was saying, because he, I don't know, seems like he pivoted a little more to the center than he was before.
I mean, when you start making more money,
yeah, for sure,
that seems
you got to look out for your class interest.
Happens. I don't know if LP has pivoted to the center. LP doesn't really talk about his politics. I mean, LP, like he's definitely like a good rapper in his own right. And actually, I thought about putting him on the list just on his own too. But he's kind of got his start more as a producer than like he raps and he has his own albums and stuff. But he definitely is, I think, more into the producing side of the house. I could be completely wrong. I haven't done a deep dive on him or anything. But he produces a lot of stuff. He doesn't really, And he's given a lot of like small rappers like a chance. He's been really good for hip hop in that way, but I don't really know what his politics are. I don't know if he's ever discussed it. I'd imagine that he's at least left leaning. It seems like he is.
Yeah, probably.
Also, Magnetic Fields on my list. I mean, they're from when they formed like the 80s, late 80s, something like that. But I fell in love with them because of the exceedingly, unbelievably long album, 69 Love Songs.
Fuck yeah.
Which is, as the name implies, 69 songs long. So
yep, it's three separated over 3 albums. I have the first 2. I don't have the third one, so I'm not as familiar with the third one. There, Magnetic Fields in the 6 is on my list too, so we'll just talk about them now as well.
Sweet.
At my wedding, I had Georgia and Aaron play the 6th song, Dance With Me. Nope, it's called You Wouldn't, I believe. And that, so that 6th album, they have, it's Stephen Merritt with guest musicians, and that song he has Bob Mould from Husker Du do the vocals, and it's one of my it's a phenomenal song, and that's what Becky and I danced to at our reception as well.
That's really awesome. That's a really good song too.
And at our friend Maggie's wedding, she had the Fannings play The Book of Love at her ceremony, which is a song from 69 Love Songs, Volume 1. Such good love songs. If you're a sappy person, you like love songs, and I don't just mean like I'm in love, but songs about love, heartbreak, breaking up. It runs the entire gamut of what a love song could be in 69 songs. And the first Volume 1 is my favorite. Volume 2 has some fucking bangers on it for sure. Papa Was a Rodeo from Volume 2 is one of my favorite Magnetic Fields songs of all time. Yeah, just great stuff. Stephen Merritt has some kind of hearing condition where he's like really sensitive to sounds, and that's why he plays the ukulele. And when they play shows now, it's almost all acoustic because his ears can't handle high volume. There's probably going to be a lot of crossover in our indie rock list just because
I feel like there is. Yeah, I only have 2 more bands on my indie rock / alternative list. I'll just blow through them really quickly. So the next one is a band called Beach House from Baltimore, Maryland. Really, really fell in love with them after I heard the song Myth. They've got a really, really good video called Wishes from their song Wishes. The video is actually directed by Eric Wareheim.
Oh, nice.
And it's a fucking hilarious video. I've got it's if you're somebody, I got a good buddy who just absolutely hates professional sports and sports in general, because he doesn't understand any of them. He doesn't understand people's obsession with them. So if you're one of those people, watch this video. I actually sent him this video, and I was like, this is how you view sports. And it's really fucking funny. It's a hilarious video. Highly recommend, whether you like the band or the song or not, at least watching this video, because it's just hilarious. I mean, it's directed by Eric Wareheim. So the last band on my list, I just threw them in there because I just wanted to. They're another one of those bands that I would call punk adjacent. I don't think I'd call them a punk band, but they are creeping in on that territory. They're called the Coat Hangers. They're from Atlanta, Georgia. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Their songs rock. They're just like, if you just want good, just rock punk adjacent songs to listen to, that they're a good band to listen to. My son really likes them too, because their music is, in general, like it's pretty poppy. It's happy. It's happy music
for sure.
I threw them on the list because, I don't know, just like them. That is it for my indie / alternative list.
All right. I will go through mine really quickly.
Okay.
So when I was hanging out at Kansas Street a lot. The Fannings would get an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar and noodle this song. And it was so discordant and annoying, and everybody hated it, but I secretly loved it. And I found out that it was a song from the album Clouds Taste Metallic by the Flaming Lips. That album kind of pulled me out from my tunnel vision of only punk rock. The Flaming Lips were my gateway band out of strictly punk rock and mostly crust and some metal, and I started listening to more indie rock that way. Unfortunately, after Soft Bulletin, kind of got diminishing returns from them. At the time when Yoshimi versus the Pink Robots came out, I was enthralled with it and really loved it. But I really can't listen to that record anymore. It's kind of sucks. They again crawled up their own ass and started smelling their own farts after the Soft Bulletin. And by the time what was after Yoshimi?
Yoshimi was the last album that I purposefully listened to.
Yeah, by them. Same.
So I kind of lost track after that.
I fell off, and I have a hard time listening to them now because of how they treated our friend Cliff, who was their drummer. Yeah. They had a really ugly parting ways with him. And, Wayne was doing some racist shit regarding Native Americans. He's kind of a creep towards younger girls. I just can't fucking do it with them anymore. Occasionally I can listen to... Yeah, we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, the Do You Realize music video?
Uh-huh.
Where, I was the first time I saw it, I thought that he was, it seemed like he was trying to, play a cult leader in the video.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then upon reflection, it just seems like, no, that's just him.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think so, too. I can still listen to Hit to Death in the Future Head. I think that's a great album. Sometimes Priest Driven Ambulance I'll listen to. That's a lot of their earlier stuff because, it doesn't give me such a bad feeling. I really don't listen to Soft Bulletin anymore, even though it was one of the heaviest rotated albums in my collection in 99, 2000. I just can't do it anymore. Bad vibes from that dude. Don't like it. And then after that, the next biggest band that had a big impact on me would be Modest Mouse. When I discovered the Lonesome Crowded West. Say what you want about Isaac Brock as a dude, he's a great poet. His wordsmithing and wordplay really scratches an itch that I have, kind of like NoFX. Say what you want about Mike, he's got a way with words, his puns, his wordplay. I think it's fucking brilliant. Isaac Brock does that too. Now, I don't know much about their later releases. I didn't really pay much attention after The Moon in Antarctica, but the Moon in Antarctica and all the previous releases were just incredible. Good stuff. Good rock music, indie rock music, whatever you want to call it. There's a Canadian guy named Hayden, and he plays really sad, sappy music, or he started off that way. The 95 album, Everything I Long For, is just an album full of sad, sappy tracks about, kind of some incel shit, I guess. But when you're a teenager, it has an impact. But one of the most impactful songs on that record. Do you remember the story about Susan Smith? She is the lady in the mid-90s who strapped her kids in the backseat of her car and drove it into a lake and killed them and said that somebody kidnapped them. Anyway,
yeah.
He wrote a song from their perspective, and it's just gut-wrenching. So that's Hayden. Good stuff. Death Cab for Cutie, up until Transatlanticism, I thought they were phenomenal. What really struck me about them is their song Styrofoam Plates just really hit home about dads. So that song struck a nerve. And when my dad died, I listened to that song and thought, yep, sounds about right. After Transatlanticism, I didn't care for Plans too much, and I didn't listen to anything after Plans at all. But with Death Cab for Cutie, it'd be hard not to talk about the Postal Service, which was Ben Gibbard and Dentel, and I think Jenny Lewis maybe did some female vocals on there. That's good stuff. Basically, they were called the Postal Service because they corresponded through the mail, sending tracks back and forth to one another. And my last one would be Elliott Smith, having struggled with depression and addiction myself. Really, a lot of his sadness was really relatable for me. Between the Bars is probably one of my favorite Elliott Smith songs. And then King's Crossing from his posthumous release is also right up there. Those two tracks constantly compete for my favorite Elliott Smith song. Very, very, very sad. Have you seen the movie, the documentary about him?
I have not. I was not aware there was a documentary.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I don't remember what it's called. We reviewed it for the film festival. And while I liked it, it was definitely a love letter to Elliott Smith. I think it kind of whitewashed a lot of his addiction and substance abuse problems. It was a lot of fan service. So while I enjoyed it, I couldn't recommend it for the film festival because it was just such a niche audience, and it kind of sugarcoated a lot of what he went through. I don't remember what it's called. I'll find out. Maybe we could review it for punk movie reviews, even though it's not. I mean, he was in a punk band called Heat Miser. At least they called themselves punk rock. Debatable, but whatever. And yeah, that's it for my indie rock section. Yeah,
I'll probably blow through my metal section relatively quickly. There's I've been listening to metal. I've actually been listening to metal longer than I've been listening to punk. And one of the first bands that I ever listened to in metal was Iron Maiden. So they're at the top of my list because it's one of those bands where, okay, yeah, I've probably overly listened to them to the point where I don't listen to them frequently anymore. But they did kind of lay the foundation for a lot of the music that I listen to now. And it would be impossible to think about any of the metal, punk, and honestly even a lot of the hip hop I listen to without tracing it back to Iron Maiden. I don't remember what album it was that I first bought of theirs. It was in the 80s. I could probably look it up. Oh, duh, of course. Yeah, the first album I ever owned of theirs was The Number of the Beast. And I cannot believe that my parents let me buy an album called The Number of the Beast.
Yeah, that's wild.
I think it's only because looking at the album now, you can see Iron Maiden very prominently displayed at the top. But the name of the album is a little it's kind of hard to read. So
maybe they just didn't notice.
I'm guessing that they just didn't notice. Right. Yeah. It was the same way that they didn't notice that little parental advisory on Doggy Style.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, Number of the Beast was the first Iron Maiden album that I ever owned, and yeah, it kind of set the tone. I mean, it was one of the first albums I owned that wasn't like just stuff that was from like the radio, like the Monkees. I had like lots of Monkees records and stuff like that. And then I'm gonna stick to the island of Great Britain for my next band. And it's a band, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. So my problem with a lot of metal is a lot of metal takes itself way too fucking seriously. I kind of enjoy the fun. That's one of the things that made me kind of start listening to punk more than metal was because punk was fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun. The bands were fun. It was fun to listen to. Like all the skateboard kids listened to it. Some of the bands, I like my metal with a lot of cheese. I like my metal to be super fucking cheesy. Like I like them to lean into the ridiculousness.
The cod pieces.
Right. And so my next band leans into it. They're a Scottish pirate metal band called Ailstorm.
Wow.
And most of their songs are about drinking and being pirates. And they do not take themselves seriously. If you're wondering if they're serious about it, they're not.
Nice.
Because they're pretending to be pirates. I feel like that's self-explanatory. But yeah, check out Ailstorm if you just want some fun, cheesy pirate metal. Like with lots of like pirate-sounding instruments along with your metal. They look like they actually could be pirates, though. I feel like maybe it's not too much of a stretch. And my next band after that, and there's going to be a lot of bands on my list from Finland. In fact, I feel like Finland is overly represented on my list. I don't know why. But Joe, who we've had on the show before, has a theory that there are 3 kinds of music in the world.
Okay.
There's metal, there's not metal, and there's troll metal.
Okay.
And those are the 3 types of music. And the next band fits into the troll metal category. And it's a band called Fin Troll. And they're called that because they sing about trolls, and they're from Finland. So you see where they got the name from. Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Finnish troll metal, Fin Troll, they're really, really, really fucking good. They kind of have a folky sound to them as well. They even have like banjos and fiddles and stuff like that in their music. It's music that definitely feels Scandinavian mixed with music that wouldn't be out of place in Kansas.
Okay.
They're a really good band. I think their earlier stuff is better. I know that's a really like hipstery thing to say, but
I mean, that's, I live my life by that.
Right? They got a little like weirdly gothy later on, but I think overall they have a lot of good music. Definitely check them out. A good song to start with if you don't know them very well, because most of their songs are in Finnish, so you're not going to understand what the fuck you're looking at anyway, unless you speak Finnish. Good luck. But a song that you can recognize is called Trollhamren, and it's about a big troll. Next on my list is another Finnish band who make Finnish folk metal, and they're called Insiferum. And they have a song called that I discovered called "In My Sword I Trust," which I just think is fucking hilarious.
Nice.
It's
hilarious
very metal name for a song.
It's a very metal name for a song.
It's a very metal name, and they are so cheesy, and they know they are. And it's once again, it's just fun. Their videos are a lot of fun. They know how to have a good time while they're playing their ridiculous music. And they're good. Like, don't get me wrong, all these bands are good. They're all skilled at their instruments. They all know what they're doing. Like, it's legit metal. Like, it sounds good. But it doesn't take itself too terribly seriously. Which leads me into the next band that I would call, we had the Weird Al of rappers. So this band would be the Weird Al of European metal bands. And they're called, and my German is awful, by the way. In fact, I would describe my German as non-existent. It's not even awful. It's non-existent. So I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher their name. They're called Feuerschwanz. Yeah.
Nice. Good job.
Spelled Feuerschwanz as in Z. And they started out kind of doing a bunch of covers of songs that were not metal songs.
Nice.
Just kind of having fun. And now they make more like their own songs, like legitimate metal songs. But they're still, their videos are a lot of fun. Their music, their music is really good. Once again, they're like really skilled musicians, and they have, just ridiculous fun videos. It's just dumb fun. And a lot of these bands, like, even if you don't like the music, the videos are just ridiculous. A wonderfully ridiculous video. An actual American band. It's called Necrogoblicon.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's a great name.
It is. Their video for No One Survives is yeah, just ridiculous fun. They always have a guy in a goblin costume who is, I think they even call him Business Goblin because he's just in a business suit, but he's a goblin. A band, another like Scandinavian band, they're Swedish melodic pagan metal is how they're described. Amon Amarth, just a lot of fun. Their videos are a lot of fun too. They're considered Viking metal, but once again, they don't take themselves too seriously. Like they're not, they kind of show that there's like, a fun side to Viking metal. It's not all just
Nazi shit.
We're mean and serious and potentially Nazis. They're definitely, I did a deep dive on them. They're definitely not Nazis, nor are they sympathetic to fascism. None of these bands are. I've looked into most of these bands are either apolitical or, kind of standard liberals or slightly lean left. I mean, they're European.
Right.
So a lot of them are like Scandinavian model democratic socialism types. Like, that's fine. The next band actually is, I would say, far left, at least socially. And I had to put them on the list because this was the first concert I ever went to that was not the Monkees and Weird Al. And it's a band called Sepultura. I've talked about them in other episodes before. They are left-wing, I would say legit left-wing, to the point where, like, people who talk shit on them are and I don't know what they would identify as politically, but on social issues, I mean, I remember one of the first videos I saw from them on Headbangers Ball was about, the Israel-Palestine conflict. This was in 95, I want to say. So
they're from South America, right?
Yeah, they're from Brazil. Yeah, they're Brazilian. Their new lead singer is actually from Ohio.
Okay.
But the rest of the band is from Brazil. Their first lead singer was also from Brazil. One of the first videos I ever saw from them was called Territory, and it's about Israel, like, bringing tanks into, Gaza and West Bank, and stuff like that. So they're not afraid to be political, and even a lot of people who like them, who are kind of more right-wing chuds who are involved in metal, and there are a lot, make fun of them for being what they call communist metal. So good for Sepultura.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're politically basically a punk band who just plays metal music.
Yep.
Is what they feel like to me. And I had to put Ministry on the list. I grew up with Ministry.
Yeah.
They're from Chicago. And I had to have an American band on the list besides Necrogoblicon. So they're more industrial metal. And they have in the past they've worked with punk bands like the Jello Biafra is on some of their tracks. Ian MacKaye is on some of their tracks. Yeah, they're an industrial metal band who is not afraid to cross lines and work with punk bands. I would wager that Ministry is also probably, I know they're very pro-union because a lot of them still have regular blue-collar jobs, even though they're in a successful industrial metal band, or as successful as an industrial metal band can be. Yeah, they're very pro-union, and I would wager probably left on other political issues too. If they're working with Ian MacKaye and Jello Biafra, they're probably left-leaning at least. I'm just going to mention like a singer who has been in a bunch of different bands. So her name is Melissa Bonney. So there's not really one band I want to attribute to her, but mostly just for her vocals. She can do both the like melodic operatic singing that you hear from female vocalists in metal bands sometimes. So she can do like the Nightwish style singing for anyone who knows who Nightwish is. But then she can growl too. And she switches it back and forth between that and a lot of her songs and just has a really great voice overall. She's Swiss and she has been in, she's been in a band. She was started with Even More. That was the first band she was in. Then she was in Rage of Light, Ad Infinitum, and now she's in a band called The Dark Side of the Moon, who is a little more poppy, not really into them as much personally. She still has great vocals, and she's worked with other bands too. Like she was in War Kings video. She did co-lead vocals on a War Kings video. She did co-lead vocals on a Fjär Schwanz video, the band I mentioned earlier. So yeah, she's got really good vocal range. So yeah, check out any of her bands. If you want songs that sound more pop and less metal, Dark Side of the Moon is probably a good place to get started. But if you want the more metal sounding stuff, then probably Rage of Light or Ad Infinitum or something like that. And then, yeah, Nightwish, like I mentioned, if you like operatic vocals with metal music, that's a good band to listen to for that. Korpiklani, another Finnish band. If you like to listen to hippies sing heavy metal and sing about saving the forest and drinking, that's a good band to listen to if you're into that. Because they're basically metal hippies who drink a lot.
Sounds like punk rockers to me.
So if you like hearing songs about environmentalism and drinking, that's a good band to listen to for you. And then, of course, I have to mention Emperor because I think Joe would get mad if I didn't.
Right.
So Emperor, look them up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
so those are my metal bands.
I don't really have a list of metal bands, so I'll just throw a couple out there as a shout out. Guar, fantastic. Speaks for themselves. Venom, good stuff. And yeah, that's probably all I need. All I need to say about that. So instead of having a list of metal things, I guess mine will just be kind of more of a bric-a-brac cleanup because the rest don't really fit neatly into a genre. I was into butt rock as a kid, and listening back to a lot of that shit now, it sucks. It's boring. It's uninteresting. It's uninspired. It's derivative. And it sucks. It's not good. I can't fucking stand it, except for Appetite for Destruction. That album stands out. And all the other hair metal bands, it's something different, something special. At the time, Axl Rose was a shithead. His politics have gotten much better. He doesn't. I think he would beat somebody up nowadays if they said the N word or the F slur, like he did on a couple songs, which is really inexcusable. It was the 80s, but you still don't say that shit. But Appetite stands up for the most part. I mean, it's problematic as all hell, but the songs are great, well crafted, just good songs. And you know, I think it stands out as different to me because both Duff McKagan and Izzy Stradlin were punk rockers, and I think it comes through on the music just a little bit different than all the other hair metal stuff. Another one is T-Rex.
Great.
From like 2000 to 2004, T-Rex was in heavy rotation in my playlist. I fucking love Mark Bolan. Just great songs. Fun, dancey, good times. In that same vein, the Kinks, their early mod stuff. To me, I prefer it to the Beatles. I prefer it to the Stones. I prefer it over the Who. You know, the Kinks are where it's at for me. Tom Waits, I don't know what genre you would call Tom Waits, but
that's a good fucking question.
You know, he expands all the genres probably. He's just an incredible songwriter. And then
Johnny, get on that. Figure out what genre Tom Waits is.
Right.
Get back to us.
I mean, he started off as a jazz musician. But yeah. And then finally is Roger Miller. When I was hanging out with squatters and train hoppers, listened to a lot of Roger Miller because, you know, he's kind of a scamp, a scoundrel, and very silly. Good wordplay, fun songs, solid country and western music. It's good stuff. My list of favorite songs are all from artists that were not discussed just now. In no particular order would be This Must Be the Place by the Talking Heads, one of my favorite love songs. Gates of Steel by Devo, who some people might argue is a punk band, but I'm going to call them new wave because they're a new wave band.
Agree. They're not punk.
Purple Rain by Prince. That guitar solo was gut-wrenching. It gives me goosebumps every time. And then...
what genre would you put the Minneapolis sound in general? It crosses so many genres.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Finally, number 4 would be Joey by Concrete Blonde. And then there's a 5th, but I refuse to mention Here's the Rest of Your Life by Chumbawamba.
Because it's technically a punk song.
Right, it's a punk song, so I'm not going to talk about it on here.
Right.
That's my top 5 list.
I am kind of surprised. I am surprised that you didn't mention another band that a lot of punks listen to that is not a punk band, the Pogues.
The Pogues are phenomenal. R.I.P. Shane McGowan, who died last year, almost just a little over a year ago. There's a handful of other bands that I could throw in there that I listened to a lot of when I was listening to Roger Miller, hanging out with Squatters and stuff. The Clancy Brothers. Yeah, the Pogues are phenomenal. And, Old Triangle will still bring a tear to my eye. From the album Red Roses for me.
For my last few things, since you mentioned all those kind of one-off bands, I am going to do for my last genre. It's a genreless music, but I'm going to mention my 3 favorite Mike Patton projects.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know what fucking category you would put any of his stuff in, but the first one I have to mention is. I don't know if you'd call them a band, maybe like some sort of mega band, because they're a bunch of different people who were already successful in the music industry who came together to form, I think they only did one album, a band called Lovage.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember their album Music to Make Love to Your Old Lady by, but it is... such a good fucking album, top to bottom. There are very few albums in the world that I would say T to B are good. I'm not going to skip a track. There's not a single track I'm going to skip. This is one of those albums where I will listen to the entire thing and never think, oh, I should skip this track to get to the next one. And this is, once again, Dan the Automator. 3rd time he's come up in this podcast. So it's him, Mike Patton, Jennifer Charles, who is from Elysian Fields, and then Kid Koala, who did turntables for a bunch of different collaborations and rappers and bands and stuff. So yeah, just top to bottom, that whole album is phenomenal. Highly recommend if you've never listened to it. It came out in like 2000. So good, top to bottom. And then Faith No More, don't know how to categorize them.
They got pigeonholed.
If you don't know who Faith No More is yet, then I don't know what I can do for you. They've been around for fucking ever.
They got pigeonholed with hair metal in the 80s, which I think was pretty unfair.
Yeah, because I've heard them described as a punk band, which I disagree with. I've heard them described as a metal band, which I disagree with. I've heard them described as an alternative band, which I disagree with. I think they're just kind of their own thing.
Rap rock. I've heard them called rap rock, which I couldn't disagree with more. Like, they have one song. Yeah, one song that could be considered rap rock.
Which is epic, which is, I put it on at the very end of my playlist.
That's a great song.
Because it was the first song I ever heard from Faith No More. I saw that music video on, I want to say like 120 Minutes or some MTV show that played alternative music at the time. Might have even been on Headbangers Ball.
Yeah, it's probably
like I said, I don't know what genre to put this in.
Nobody did. I think that's why they got stuck with
MTV didn't fucking know, so it's probably on both.
Can we take a moment
to just... probably on 120 Minutes and Headbangers Ball.
Yeah. Can we take a moment to talk about their covers real quick? Because you can't talk about Faith No More. I mean, you can talk about them, but without doing this. But you shouldn't talk about Faith No More with talking about the quality of their covers. Easy Like Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
Is incredible. I started a joke. I
started a joke. Watch that music video sometime. The music video is awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah. With the Hobbits, Martin
Freeman.
Yeah, Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
TV. The Hobbits. Martin Freeman plays an asshole boyfriend. Theme to Midnight Cowboy. They
so good.
If you only listen to their radio hits, you might not realize what fantastic musicians they actually are and how talented they are. And Mike Patton, his vocal range and his vocal ability, I don't know if it can be matched by anyone.
Right.
It's wild how talented he is.
Yeah, so yeah, Faith No More. Mike Patton was actually the second lead singer. Chuck Mosley was the first lead singer of Faith No More.
He just died recently, didn't he?
He died in 2017.
Oh, that's
so
not
it was a
very
little
recently.
while ago.
What is time?
Yeah, that's too bad. He was very talented too. Don't get me wrong. I love Mike Patton as the lead singer of Faith No More. But you know what? I don't dislike the Chuck Mosley songs either. A lot of people talk shit on them. They were still good even back then. And of course, Chuck Mosley, I thought that he had been in the Bad Brains longer than he was only in the Bad Brains for a couple of years. But there's the punk connection there. He was in the Bad Brains as well. Mike Patton, second lead singer of Faith No More. And then he also went on to found the other band that is the last one on my list from the Mike Patton genre of Mr. Bungle.
Mm-hmm.
Who have tons of great fucking music too. They are way more experimental than Faith No More. Faith No More is a little more straightforward rock for the most part. They can be a little experimental. And like Jerry Bear said, they do awesome covers of non-rock songs. But Mr. Bungle is, I would just describe as experimental alternative rock, all experimental rock of some kind.
Well,
how would you describe them?
So I think people consider their first two albums ska adjacent because there are lots of horns in it. It's not ska music though. It's closer to me, it sounds closer to a metal version of early Oingo Boingo when they still had their full name, which was the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, and it was kind of insane circus music. That's sort of what early Mr. Bungle sounds like to me. If you took that vision of insanity from the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo and you put heavily distorted guitars and screamed vocals, that's sort of what you get with Mr. Bungle. Until California came out, and that sounds more like lounge metal or something.
Yeah, depending on the song. They still have their weird experimental screaming stuff in there too, but it is kind of mixed with like lounge music, lounge rock. That's a great album too, California, by the way.
Their one of their saxophone players recently got charged with murdering his wife.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are no heroes, kids.
No.
Be that as it may, check out Mr. Bungle anyway.
I think he was only on Disco Volante, so he didn't have a huge role in Mr. Bungle.
Absolutely 100%. I can't recommend it highly enough. Listen to Lovage. Listen to the Lovage album.
Nice.
It is, I seriously, I've heard it described as, and as soon as I heard it, I agreed, the horniest album anyone has. It is definitely, it lives up to the name of the album, I think. It's just so good though. Like, I mean, it is an album you can just kick your feet up, enjoy a nice glass of scotch or apple juice if you don't drink alcohol. But it has to be a finely aged apple juice, I think. But yeah, I think that's my list. And I honestly, my list was probably twice as long in every single category. I had to start cutting things out because I listen to, I mean, don't get me wrong, the punk rock playlist that we have up, I have 25 songs on that, and I only have 35 songs on this, which has 4 different genres in it. But making this list made me realize like how much non-punk music I actually listen to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And, like, I was kind of rappers and rap groups left and right. I didn't even mention fucking Arrested Development.
Yeah.
They're pop group, not the TV show.
They're on my honorable mention. So were the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
I had that Ghetto Boys tape that I used to blast at Kansas Street quite a bit. Another thing we listen to a lot of on Kansas Street that I want to give an honorable mention to is Bjork, particularly the album Post. Hyper Ballad is one of the best songs of all time as well. Another really creative artist, similar to Mike Patton. They've actually worked together, which makes a lot of sense.
I want to give another honorable mention to a band called, they're English, like an English trip hop band, basically, called Morchiba.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And I didn't know what genre to put them in, because they don't really fit into any of the genres that I had. But they also have one of their albums, Big Calm, is another one of those albums that I would describe as an album that I can listen to top to bottom without skipping a song.
They were thrown in the indie pile for a lot of people.
Probably.
That makes sense. I mean, that's what I associate Morchiba with is the indie scene.
But yeah, if once again, like the Lovage album, if you just want a nice record that you can just put on and kick your feet up and enjoy a nice drink by a fire within a low light, like this is the album for that, to just chill and just relax. It's great. I mean, it's called Big Calm, and that's accurate. I mean, I like all their albums, but this is the one that I think top to bottom is great. Every song. This is going to be a very long one. It might be as long as our last punk movie review, which if you haven't listened to it, listen to our SLC Punk episode of Punk Movie Review. It is 2 hours long. It is longer than the movie it's about.
Yeah, nice.
So
good stuff.
Yeah, listen to it.
We are good at talking.
We've been recording for 2 hours and 43 minutes. We'll see how long this... I can't wait to see how long the episode actually is. Right. I'm going to guess about an hour and a half. Yeah. That's going to be my guess.
Could be.
Yeah.
Check us out on all of our socials. We have Blue Sky now. I haven't fucked with it yet. But I will... I intend to post on it tomorrow, which would be Thursday. And post about why I'm a poser this week. You'll have to wait and see for what reason I'm a poser.
We already have 6 followers on Blue Sky.
Hey,
not bad.
And fuck Elon Musk. Delete your Twitter. And I am going to go drink some codeine cough syrup and go to sleep.
Yeah, I think I'm going to walk my dog and go to sleep. Don't forget to go to our website too, www.prairiepunkpress.com. You can find all of our stuff there, including Blue Sky. Yes, it's already updated that much that you can get our Blue Sky link to see the posts we don't yet have. But you should go to it anyway and go ahead and follow us on Blue Sky, because we will start posting there.
Yes,
and I agree. Fuck Elon Musk. Delete your X. Delete your Twitter. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg too, by the way.
Fucking transphobic shitbag.
He sure did roll over and show his belly pretty fucking quickly. Yeah. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, Zuck. And fuck you, Elon Musk. And
fuck you, Jeff
honestly,
Bezos,
just all
Jeff
the other
Bezos.
billionaires too.
Yeah. Fuck you, Jay-Z.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking. Yeah. How are you going to come from where you came from and be a capitalist?
Yeah.
Seriously? Yeah. So go to listen to our punk movie reviews and continue to listen to this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Johnny, I look forward to your corrections next week, too. And, yeah. I'm going to walk my dog, go to sleep.
Bye.
Bye.